Hey guys, it's Luke, back again with another PGA ownership reaction, this time for the 2021 Travelers Championship. In this video, my goal is to help you guys identify some of the golfers being overlooked. Those are going to be my sleepers, and some of the guys that are being a little bit overhyped this week, and those are going to be my fades for DFS. As always, I'll be implementing my database approach. I use mathematical modeling, visualizations, custom models to help you guys identify the best DFS plays for a variety of sports. I cover the PGA Tour, NFL, NBA, UFC, DFS in general. So if you're looking for that kind of content, make sure to check out my channel because I have plenty for you guys. Just a little bit of an announcement before the video. My Patreon for my PGA projections just came out this week. It's out on my YouTube channel. You can check it out in the description as well. It's going to have my PGA projections for the week. It's going to have who's in my player pool, my ownership projections, some notes on some of my key players this week, all that kind of good stuff. Over the next few weeks, I'll be improving that, adding some more tools, some more visualizations for you guys, more interactive stuff, and you're really going to get a lot of value out of it from me. So right now it's only $1. Make sure to take advantage of that before the price goes up. And with that being said, let's hop right into the ownership reaction, first with my fades for the Travelers. And now we have our fades and sleepers, guys. At number 3 for my fades, we have Keegan Bradley, who cost $7,900 and expected to be owned in 17% of lineups. So he's a hometown guy. A lot of his ownership is due to that. People love playing guys from their hometown for some reason. He not only killed me at the Memorial, he killed about 30% of the field at the Memorial. He was chalk, ended up missing the cut by about 10 strokes. So that makes me a little bit surprised to see his ownership this high. I would have expected it to be a lot lower, a lot more people jaded by him, just like me, but that doesn't seem to be the case. When we take a look at how he performed there, he lost in every single category except off the tee, where he was a 0.1 stroke gainer, essentially losing strokes there, and he didn't have any of his game working, which is extremely concerning. He's somebody that's typically a very consistent ball striker. He's accurate off the tee. He's typically not a very good putter, but he didn't have anything at the Memorial. So he gets a lot of credit for being a local. Again, so I mentioned before, I'm not sure why people think that's a good thing. Most players will tell you that when they're a local, they have their friends and family present. It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to get them tickets, to make sure that you're hanging out with them afterwards and whatnot, and you're not really giving your best effort out there on the golf course. You're going out to dinner with them afterwards, you're hanging out in the morning, you're not on the golf course, you're not hitting shots with your trainer, and that's why guys tend to struggle at these type of events. So I'm going to be off of them this week. Again, 17% of people are on them, and that's plenty of ownership, and definitely something I'm going to stay away from. On number 2, we have Harris English. He's an $8,200 golfer who's expected to be owned in 21% of lineups. It's a very high number, and if we take a look at his course history at TPC River Highlands, it's not pretty at all. He's had 2 missed cuts out of his last 3 starts. The one cut he did make, he ended up finishing 71st, dead last in the field. So dreadful course history. On top of that, a lot of the steam behind him in terms of his recent form, it really doesn't seem to be warranted. He's had 3 top 14 finishes, but at 2 of those starts, one of them was at the Byron Nelson and the other was at the Palmetto Championship. Those were jokes of a field. They're not anything to write home about, especially only finishing 13th or 14th there. His finish at the US Open, when he finished 3rd, was extremely impressive. The one thing I will say is it seems like it's a little bit of fool's gold. He gained 4.06 strokes putting on the week and 3.83 around the green on the week, which accounted for over 75% of his shots gained. That's not sustainable. We know that those statistics are the most volatile in golf. And at 21% ownership, you're looking for somebody that's a slam dunk, somebody that fits the course well. And for me, Harris English doesn't fit any of the boxes. And at number 1 for our fades, we have Kevin Streelman. He's a $9,400 golfer, expected to be owned in 13% of lineups. And for me, he's my number 1 fade of the week. It's actually a very easy fade for me to make. And we've seen him do well at this event in the past. That's why his price is the whole way in the $9,000 range. But Kevin Streelman at $9,000 is ridiculous. And it's priced around people like Tony Finau, Scotty Scheffler, the elite of the elite on the PGA Tour that actually fit the course even better. So for me, I wouldn't even consider playing Streelman. But if we see that 13% of people are willing to do so, that's ridiculous. I'll let them burn their money. I'll let them throw it in the oven, pay the rake for us this week, because there's no way in hell that he's worth that type of price. If we take a look at how he's done over the last few weeks as well, he's had a really hot putter. And now, if you heard me say that, you're probably shaking and going, what do you mean? Yeah, Kevin Streelman's been putting the ball well of late. He's historically a terrible putter, so I do expect that to come back to earth a little bit. And if we take a look at how he played at the U.S. Open, he lost strokes off the tee and lost around the green as well. So that doesn't bode well for him this week at TPC River Highlands, and that's why he's my number one fade. And now for our sleepers, we have at number 3, Justin Rose, an $8,400 golfer, only expected to be owned in 4% of lineups. And a lot of that has to do with his atrocious performance at the U.S. Open. Being a major, everyone saw how he was playing, and to be honest with you, it was atrocious. He ended up missing the cut by over 10 strokes. And if we take a look at his performance, he lost strokes putting in both rounds, which we don't ever see from him. He lost strokes off the tee, with his ball striking, around the green, he lost all over the board. With the putting, I think a lot of that has to do with the POA surface. He has been a huge adversary of the surface, has said he's hated it in the past. So not a surprise he went out and lost over 3.5 strokes putting. What is a surprise, though, is that he lost around the green and he lost with his ball striking. It seems as if when he got behind the 8-ball in the first round, he didn't have any interest at all. By the time he was on number 10 on his round on Thursday, he was on the feature group, so I was able to see this. He was hitting shots and just immediately turning away. He was dejected. He wasn't trying at all. So a lot of people are looking a little bit too much into that performance, at least in my opinion. I think TPC River Highlands sets up really well for him as well. He's somebody who's not long off the tee. He's more of a plotter, more accurate, and that's exactly what you're looking for at the Travelers. He's also somebody, he's great with the flat stick typically. Again, we saw him lose last week, but a lot of that had to do with the putting surface. He's going to get bent grass this week with a little bit of POA mixed in. And if we take a look at his historical baseline on that surface, it's the best surface for him historically. He gains an extra 0.2 strokes per round, so I expect him to rebound with the flat stick. I expect his accuracy to pay off. And at 4% ownership, you don't have to put many shares on him to get over the field. So he's a great pick for me and a great sleeper at number 3. At number 2, we have Cameron Smith, an $8,700 golfer, only supposed to be owned in 6% of lineups. So if we take a look at his performance last week at the U.S. Open, he had the weirdest miscut I've seen in quite some time. He was able to gain 2.65 strokes on approach, 3.62 strokes putting, and found a way to miss the cut. It wasn't even his off-the-tee game that hurt him last week. Typically, his off-the-tee game is a little bit weak, but it was actually his around-the-green game. He lost 5.74 strokes around the green. Cameron Smith is typically one of the best around-the-green players on tour, so there's no doubt in my mind that is an outlier. I expect him to come out this week, gain his normal 1 to 2 strokes around the green. I am not worried about that at all. Something that was actually very encouraging about Cameron Smith last week is he slightly gained off the tee. Now, he's somebody who only hits the ball 285, 290 yards. He's one of the shortest hitters on tour. And for him to gain strokes off the tee, that means he's pretty much hit every single fairway. And at the Travelers, where you have the shortest course on the PGA Tour, accuracy is going to be at a premium. I expect him to perform very well this week, at least a top 15 finish. And at 16%, actually at 6% ownership, he's an even better play. So that's why he comes in as my number 2 sleeper. And finally, my number 1 sleeper this week is Patrick Reed. He's an even $10,000 golfer, only expected to be owned in 9% of lineups. So that should pretty much tell you the story right there. Patrick Reed, if he's sub 10% ownership, you absolutely have to slam him into your lineups. He's being squeezed right now in terms of ownership by Patrick Cantlay and Paul Casey, who are priced right behind him. And those are the 2 biggest chalk plays of the week. Obviously, Patrick Cantlay is coming off a win a few weeks ago. Pretty good performance last week at the U.S. Open. You also have Paul Casey, who's had a few top 10s over the last month or so. And overall, I understand the plays. You know, they're top golfers. They're good ball strikers. But when it boils down to it, are they 2 or 3 times more likely to win this golf tournament than Patrick Reed? The answer to that is an emphatic no. We know that Patrick Reed is one of the best winners on the PGA Tour. He wins 2 or 3 golf tournaments seemingly every single year. Paul Casey hasn't won a golf tournament since 2009. Patrick Cantlay's only won 1 golf tournament over the last 3 years. That's all I have to say. There's just a lot of recency bias going on right here. It's a very easy pivot for me. And if you're playing Patrick Reed, you're not going to those 2 chalk options. You're able to pretty much play whoever you want in the rest of your lineup. You're going to be unique. Not many people are going to be playing Patrick Reed this week. And the icing on the cake here is that he's one of the best putters on the bent POA hybrid surface. He's gaining an extra 0.12 strokes per round, he's actually gaining 0.81 strokes per round on this surface, which is by far the best in the world. So I expect him to come in, have that magic with the flat stick, and if he even has any semblance of form with his irons or off the tee, I expect him to win this week. And obviously, you're going to need him in DFS if that's the case. That's all I've got for this week's fades and sleepers, guys. Let me know in the comments who your biggest sleeper pick is for this year's 2021 Travelers Championship. I'm going to be picking one of the comments for a free membership to my Patreon, so make sure to leave a comment to enter that raffle. Look forward to my DFS strategy coming out this Friday. I'm going to be covering ownership reaction, as well as how they calculate ownership, how players use it to their advantage, and how you should be using ownership on a week-to-week basis to make more money out of your DFS lineups. So as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the content. It really helps me out a lot, and I really do appreciate that. And see you guys next week.